The surreal comic that Panda's story loves will tell you about the importance of the time of human birth. On a day in 2023, a ghostly mirror appeared in the sky of the world. The abilities of humans no longer depend on talent and effort, but on each person's fate. Some are born at auspicious hours, able to fly in the sky with a dragon pearl that calls the wind and rain. There are even those who, born in the perfect hour of the pig day, gain the power of the divine pen, simply making things disappear by lifting a hand. As for me, born in the darkest era, I possess the power of fate, an ability that can only be activated upon death. Therefore, when I was born, my parents could not bear this truth and took their own lives, leading everyone to shun me. But now, I have been invited to join in the extermination of a new monster that has recently appeared. A newcomer approached me to talk, and I reacted very differently to this. Does he not know the rumors about me? While I was pondering this, some of his comrades pulled him back. After a while, I noticed the newcomer immediately displayed horror on his face. I have been accustomed to this for a long time. At that moment, the announcement of the extermination mission starting came over the loudspeaker, followed by a green light appearing in the sky. The door of the ghostly mirror has opened, and a large number of high-level monsters rushed out. First were high-ranking members with abilities to face fierce monsters. Everyone was not only unafraid but also excited because this was their chance to prove themselves. And I was no exception. However, because my abilities were not outstanding, I was sent to the back to deal with low-level monsters. At that moment, I did not hesitate and wielded my sword to join the battle. But just as I managed to kill a goblin, great power is always a curse, and I am no exception. But due to my mediocre abilities, I was assigned to the group at the back responsible for handling low-level demon creatures. I did not hesitate to draw my sword and join the fight. But after only killing one goblin, I was so exhausted that I couldn't breathe. At that moment, I realized the difference between me and others. But then, a goblin sneaked up behind me, attacked me without warning, and pinned me to the ground, rendering me immobile. In an instant, all the goblins around also rushed towards me. Just when I thought I would die in humiliation, suddenly a row of trees sprouted and saved me and everyone from the difficult situation. It turned out to be the master of the Shuya sect, the owner of the Flying Tiger, and everyone was excited as he arrived because he was an incarnation of the three supreme gods. I also felt grateful to him from the bottom of my heart. But at that moment, the ground began to tremble violently, and a giant elephant appeared. Why did the final boss appear behind the battle line amidst the chaos? A sword chi attacked, splitting the elephant in half. Moment later, a woman with silver hair appeared before everyone like a ghost. The woman then spoke, "Bring out Hujiang Forest, and I will spare your lives." Everyone was surprised, and I was also taken aback. To find out the identity of the person, I immediately opened the window to check their profile. It turned out to be the first god grade, a character of such magnitude that I had never met before. And why would a first god grade seek out a small soldier like me? But right then, the woman suddenly drew her sword chi and swiftly killed dozens of people. Then she said that if this person is not handed over, all of you will perish together. Seeing the dire situation, I wanted to step forward, but my body was shielded by a tree shadow. A woman suddenly swung her sword, creating a sword chi that swiftly defeated dozens of people. She then said that if you do not surrender, all of you will be buried together. Seeing the dangerous situation, I wanted to intervene, but my body was protected by a tree shadow. Suddenly, I heard the voice of the master through the loudspeaker, demanding that I stay in my original position and not easily leave the golden throne. The master then approached the woman, reminding her that as a leader, it was his responsibility to ensure that no member of the sect would perish. Immediately, the master engaged in a fierce battle with the woman. Despite the efforts of other comrades, they were no match for her. In a blink of an eye, almost the entire army was decimated, with the master left critically wounded, clinging to his last breath. In order to escape this perilous situation, I had to use my sword to cut through the vines entwined around me. After a short struggle, I finally managed to break free. However, the sight that greeted me was akin to hell, with my comrades lying lifeless before me. I was overwhelmed with guilt, feeling suffocated to the extreme. If only I had intervened earlier, perhaps they wouldn't have met such a tragic end. At that moment, the woman approached me and remarked, "You must be Ho Kang Lam, ready to meet your demise." She then swiftly swung her sword towards me. Amidst the chaos, I noticed countless vines exploding towards the woman, only to be skillfully evaded by her. It turned out that Master Tika had beautified her, and she was not dead but recovering from her injuries on the side. Despite the master's relentless attacks, the woman easily neutralized them. Before long, the master was unable to stop her from shooting an arrow through his chest. A bright green light and a deafening explosion ensued as the master made the decision to self-detonate alongside the woman, exerting his final strength to explode. But as the smoke cleared, the woman appeared before me completely unscathed, wearing a look of disdain on her face. Witnessing the scene unfold, tears streamed down my face, hoping for a miracle at that moment. A notification popped up on the window, indicating that 421 people had died in the nearby area. "Would you steal the date of birth of one of them to escape death?" I gritted my teeth and shouted that I would devour all 421 people. In an instant, supernatural powers flooded into my body, accompanied by endless resentment. Although this imposed a heavy burden on my body, I didn't care because at that moment I felt like I could do anything. The woman also noticed the change on my body. The woman immediately attacked me. At the same time, I ordered to activate the skill, Holy Sword. In an instant, my swordsmanship reached its peak, but unexpectedly, I could only match the woman. I refused to give up and activated the skill, Hawkeye. Every move of the woman couldn't escape my sight. Thanks to these two special abilities, this time I could easily injure the woman without exerting much effort. The wounds on the woman's body miraculously healed. Although I showed differences, there was no time to think. Immediately after, I activated the summoning skill, Ice Pillar, with destructive power ready to fight the woman. The woman also began to accumulate power to create two intense collision skills. The energy generated tore through space. But what I didn't expect was that in the end, I still failed against the woman. At that moment, I suddenly remembered a kind of magic that both the woman and I mastered. That I had never used. So without saying a word, I immediately activated it. In an instant, thousands of thorns sprouted and attacked the woman. And the magical power of the woman seemed to have run out after the recent powerful blow. Dealing with her was exhausting. I quickly utilized my aerial walking skills, in the blink of an eye, appeared behind her and swiftly used a straight band column through her heart. She gazed at her unhealable wound for a long time. She seemed incredulous, perhaps she did not expect a divine queen like her to fall before an unknown soldier. After a lamentable sigh, she finally fell down, defeated. My situation was not much better with severe injuries, life nearing its end. As I looked at her cold body, a bitter smile naturally appeared on my lips, for I had finally avenged. This also explained the fallen comrades. As I prepared for death, a sudden alert from the window appeared. The healing skill automatically activated to restore your wounds. But I refused without hesitation, for what meaning would there be to live alone in this world? I sighed deeply from the bottom of my heart, wishing time could turn back. Suddenly, my head exploded. I remembered that the skill the defeated queen possessed had returned. So, I hesitated no more in using the ability. Steal it. Shortly after, a notification appeared, congratulating you on regaining the skill. You can go back to the past while retaining memories. Do you want to activate this skill now? Hearing that, I rejoiced frantically. Pressing the confirmation button, a golden light appeared. When I opened my eyes again, I realized I was in a strange environment, but from the room decorations, it seemed like a cafe. At the same time, a young couple enters the store. The man who claims to be there to examine his fate, but I am disappointed because he is not the one I was waiting for. But what surprised me was the moment I realized that the person accompanying the man was none other than the future of youth Tiger Tham Tu Na. At this moment, he still maintains a youthful face and clear eyes. I am certain that I have truly returned to my past. I handed them a pen to write their names and dates of birth on it. The man showed excitement, but Tham Tu Na seemed unimpressed. Suddenly, I remembered that before coming back, he had told me that he had been forced by his parents to meet a young man. The emotions of the male and female appear from their birth dates, with the male being like crystal and the female like a tree. Everyone knows that the metal engraves wood. I said that they were not compatible from the beginning, stubbornly refusing to consider it. Like an axe eventually striking the tree. A second later, the man stared at his spot. Even his face turned dark, but Rua Ri seemed very happy. Feeling as if unable to resist, he covered his mouth, laughing, and told the man, "Well, then, I am sorry, it seems we really aren't compatible." When this statement was made, the mont's emotions immediately became uncontrollable, but he dared not get angry with Shin Su-ya, only blaming me loudly, shouting whether I was joking or not. Then he shouted that he wanted to find the manager to resolve the issue. In this situation, I just smiled and announced that the manager had taken the day off and was not around. After hearing this, the man immediately became angry, turned around to leave, and told Shin Su-ya that I was really not trustworthy. But Shin Su-ya laughed and said, "Actually, my prediction was quite accurate." When this sentence was uttered, the mont's emotions immediately became uncontrollable, but he dared not get angry with Shin Su-ya, only blaming me loudly, shouting whether I was joking or not. Then he shouted that he wanted to find the manager to resolve the issue. In this situation, I just smiled and announced that the manager had taken the day off and was not around. After hearing this, the man immediately became angry, turned around to leave, and told Shin Soo-ya that I was really not trustworthy. But Shin Soo-ya laughed and said, "Actually, my prediction was quite accurate." And he even expected me to help him with his career. If not, this appointment will end here. But as soon as the words finished, the man's true sinister nature became evident. He immediately got angry and yelled loudly at Son Soo-ah, "Fuck your mother. Who do you think you are? Your father doesn't even bother to look at you." But Son Soo-ah didn't want to confront him at this moment. I couldn't help but speak up to the man. He seems to not want to see the way out over there. Exactly in the blink of an eye, the man's face turned green with anger. Immediately after, he slammed the door hard and left. Before leaving, he threw a cruel remark, "Wait and see." Look at the man's departure. Son Soo-ah remained calm. As for me, I just remained silent, thinking that something good would happen upon returning. But from the start I encountered such a response. At this point, Son Soo-ah unexpectedly said, "It seems like you're good at fortune telling. Can you help me with my career?" I naturally agreed. So I immediately accepted. But right then, the ground began to shake violently and the air carried a mysterious sound along with a strange announcement system. The global destiny system has been activated, although this was predicted by me beforehand. But before the overwhelming feeling from this shaking, I could do nothing but stand still 2.5 meters away. At this point, Son Soo-ah looked at me as if looking at a fool, hurriedly pulled me under the table because in his eyes, this was the only way to deal with the earthquake. But he didn't know this wasn't a normal earthquake. However, he quickly realized and asked me what was that strange sound just now. But I didn't react to avoid the heavy burden before returning. This is the only way to deal with an earthquake, but he doesn't know this isn't a normal earthquake. However, he quickly realizes this and asks me about the strange sound just now. But I don't answer to avoid the heavy burden from before. I thought I should try not to get involved in his fate to avoid the next situation. Then I turned to the counter to see if I could find some self-defense items in the surrounding area, because I knew that after the fate system was activated, there would be a large wave of monsters attacking. Not long after, I found a combat knife in a corner, carefully put it in my pocket. Then I prepared to enter another room. This time, Shin Soo-ya next to me asked where I was going. She tried to persuade me, but when I didn't answer, she still pulled me along the hallway. She tried to persuade me, but when I didn't answer, she still pulled me along the hallway. Meanwhile, from the end of the hallway came a desperate cry, only one man rushing towards us and continuously shouting about the monster. Seeing the situation, both Shin Soo-ya and I were puzzled, but unexpectedly, a bug had bitten my thigh from behind. Only one man rushing towards us and continuously shouting about the monster. Seeing this, Shin Soo-ya and I stood still like rocks, but at that moment, a worm had bitten my large thigh from behind. A severe pain spread instantly, and instinctively, I couldn't help but scream for help. Suddenly, a stick hit the bug's head. It turned out to be Shin Soo-ya, who arrived in time, but the previous blow did not cause any harm to the bug. It even split into smaller ones and rushed to attack her. Instead, the worm transformed and split into countless small worms rushing towards him. Seeing Shin Soo-ya about to be bitten, luckily Shu Jonglin activated the fire spell in time, just enough to push back the worms and save her. Then Shu Jonglin asked Shin Soo-ya to activate the tree spell immediately. Shin Soo-ya said that her tree magic needed trees around to activate, but Shu Konglin believed that even grass could do that. At the suggestion of Shu Konglin, Shin Soo-ya finally decided to give it a try. He just needed to read a curse on the branch in his hand, and immediately a green light appeared. The branch in his hand began to transform, growing countless living branches spreading out. He then activated his full body power. He pushed the branches to attack the worms, but what he didn't expect was that the attacked worms split again, and this time the number of worms split was even more than before. In a blink of an eye, like a tidal wave, they were pushed into a corner and panicked. This situation made Tu Jong Lam suddenly remember that if abilities were determined by birth date, then the birth date rule surely applied to the battle. So he immediately used the fireball spell with Shen Shuya's magic wand. In an instant, flames engulfed from everywhere, then the desperate cries of the worms echoed. In just 2 more seconds, all the worms were burnt to ashes. Seeing the worms turn into ashes, they breathed a sigh of relief. Shuya also smiled lightly, but Tu Jong Lam, exhausted, unintentionally fell down. Even when leaving, he had to rely on Shuya to stand up. Shortly after, they arrived at a corridor intended for rest and recovery from injuries. But a strange scene occurred. The wounds on their bodies healed quickly, even their strength recovered as at the beginning. They were surprised to see the bald man in front of them and realized that he was Long Grade 3 Guardian, who could heal those near him and prevent monster invasions. They also didn't understand why such a powerful being was placed here. At the same time, a purple light appeared in the air. This is the high-level Grade 3 Guardian who can heal those near him and prevent monster invasions. They also didn't understand why such a powerful being was placed here. At the same time, a purple light appeared in the air. Everyone has been transported here. It seems they have just gone through a fierce battle with monsters in just a moment. The wounds on everyone's body have healed themselves at this moment. Everyone's faces show a sense of unease. But some have noticed that their phones have no signal here clearly. Advanced technology is being blocked at the same time. A woman with short hair and a mask appears before everyone. She introduces herself as Anna, claiming to be the leader of the Fate Protection Organization from now on. Everyone here must obey her orders when this statement is made. Everyone is unsettled. This is clearly no different than being kidnapped. They all express a desire to leave immediately. Even Rang Ji is puzzled. Only Tu Jiang Lam remains calm with experience from past lives. He knows this is just a normal process as this world will soon collapse. At that time, the monsters that cannot be dealt with will attack like a flood, and this time, he will not surrender nor repeat past mistakes under the guidance of team leader Anna. Everyone has opened the window of their destiny, awakening a corresponding ability. But Tu Jiang Lam's ability has two parts: fate recognition and fate theft. Since everyone has just awakened and is not proficient in using their abilities, Anna will conduct special training for everyone. The chosen training ground is a mysterious castle. The rooms in the castle are all interconnected. Each room is filled with terrifying monsters and dangerous traps, and the door ahead is the entrance. Those who can survive through it will be considered to have passed. After that, each person receives a gift for the newcomers, inside which lies a sword. There were 2 bottles of rejuvenating and energy water, not much but enough to deal with the challenge. To avoid risking Shen Shuya again, Tu Jiang Lam chose to team up with Lam Fong, the stronger one. After a few minutes, they reached the center of the maze, where there were multiple entrances. Tu Jiang Lam was unsure if the structure here was similar to the previous life, so they could only choose a random entrance. However, he was confident that the traps and monsters here remained unchanged. Suddenly, a sharp sword emerged from the ground, aiming at Lam Fong, but Tu Jiang Lam managed to pull him out in time. Lam Fong, the stronger one, formed a team. After a while, the two arrived at the center of the maze, where there were multiple entrances. Tu Jiang Lam was uncertain if the structure here was the same as in the previous life. Soon, they encountered a group of ghost skeletons. Both were shocked by the scene before them. The skeletons were covered in a mysterious green light, looking very dangerous. Although they were low-level monsters, both witnessed a strange power appearing on Tu Jiang Lam's hand. He immediately released a fireball at the ghost skeleton, causing no significant damage but drawing its attention. Subsequently, a group of ghost skeletons rushed towards them, and they had to face and fight them. Despite just awakening their abilities, with good coordination, they successfully defeated all the ghost skeletons. After some time, they came across a group of demon corpses. Both were surprised by the sight of the entire demon body covered in a strange green light, looking terrifying. Their assessment was only a 3rd-level demon named Sung Qin. Seeing a stream of demonic power concentrating on Xu Zhonglin's hand, he immediately activated a fire spell towards the demon skeleton. However, it did not cause specific damage but instead attracted the opponent's attention. Then, a crowd of demon skeletons suddenly rushed towards them. Seeing this, the two could only confront them strongly and start a fierce battle with the demon skeletons. Although they had just awakened their abilities, luckily, their coordination was quite good. Amidst the clash of swords and magic, they finally managed to kill all the demon skeletons. The two of them breathed a sigh of relief, unaware that this was just the beginning. In an instant, the ground beneath their feet collapsed. Lin Feng and Du Yidian agilely escaped, but Hu Jianglin was not as fortunate, falling straight into the bottomless abyss. In a split second, Hu Jianglin hastily thrust his sword into the wall, relying on the friction between the two objects to land safely. Meanwhile, a warning came from the window: you have entered a mysterious area. Here, the monsters are stronger than in the normal area. Should a rescue be called for? But Hu Jianglin declined, seeing this as an opportunity to enhance his power. How could he miss it? The skeletal monster still remained ahead, drawing from its past experience. This time, Hu Jianglin easily exterminated them all without expending much effort. All his stats also significantly increased. At this moment, Hu Jianglin was confident that if he continued at this pace, he would be the first to surpass. Moments later, he finally reached the boss room. He felt that this place was different from the others. If he were to describe it, he felt like he was truly in the jaws of hell. He realized that dealing with the final monster would be extremely difficult. Before he could react, a boss clad in armor stood before him, wielding a giant sword, its face fierce, and its body wrapped in red tendrils. Beside it stood a duplicate. Seeing this horrifying sight, Hu Jianglin was terrified to the point of half-death. At that moment, he could only feel every hair on his body being controlled by fear. He tried to overcome the fear within to remain calm. In that moment, he risked all his strength to strike at the boss. But the level of attack was like simply scratching an itch for the opponent. He had no choice but to flee to have time to think about a strategy. He suddenly realized that the opponent's attribute was spirit. If relying on the biological principle between birth dates to suppress the opponent's attribute, perhaps using his fireball skill could be useful. However, due to the significant power difference, he ultimately failed. But at that moment, a strange scene occurred. The boss clone to replace the host Jing took advantage of the boss' inattention and stabbed him in the head. At that moment, Shu Jianglin suddenly stood still, but without thinking much, he immediately took advantage of this moment to enhance his speed and run away. But after running only a few meters, he was knocked down by the clone with a punch. He saw the boss clone rushing to attack. Shu Jianglin finally decided to sacrifice. He increased all remaining attribute points into power in a sudden moment. His power level unexpectedly rose to level 7 unexpectedly. A single blow struck straight into the heart of the boss clone. This also helped him gain a large amount of attribute value. Then he activated the superpower stealing ability, directly stealing the boss' swordsmanship ability without forgetting to eagerly test it. He immediately felt his swordsmanship ability greatly enhanced. Even the sword he held became lighter. However, he also accumulated a maximum amount of energy. Then Shu Jianglin walked straight out of the gate following the instructions on the window. He knew he was the first to pass the door. When he left the door, everyone was shocked. Shortly after, they each turned back to look at him with admiring eyes. Not long after, Lam Fang also successfully passed the challenge. Seeing Shu Jianglin still alive, he eagerly wanted to hug him, but Shu Jianglin awkwardly avoided him. Meanwhile, Anna approached Shu Jianglin. He was congratulated for being the first to pass the challenge. As a reward, he was given a villa and a belt with item storage capabilities. Although he didn't care much about the villa, the storage belt was a rare item. He couldn't contain his joy and immediately put on the belt. It seemed to fit quite well. Meanwhile, news on the phone made him stunned. He saw that person had killed his teammate in the news. The white-haired wizard is the captain of the Destiny Protection Association. In the video, he is comforting the awakened people, looking gentle and beautiful. But only I from another world know that it's just his act. He is a ruthless hunter who doesn't hesitate to kill. The Destiny Protection Association is where outstanding awakened people gather. They all wear masks to hide their true identities. In my previous life, it's not surprising that I never met someone named Bok Ai because he belongs to the Destiny Protection Association. That makes sense. Meanwhile, in a meeting room, a man is angry and delusional. They are discussing why Tu Quang Lam, a third-rate contributor, can win on his own. Everyone faced the captain's question in silence. So the captain had to pour his anger into this competition plan. Faced with this, he didn't know what to do and could only quickly handle traps and data to avoid being accused of cheating the contestants. If it is known that the challenger is a seriously ill third-rate person, they might think he has teamed up with the contestants and that person will have to face the consequences. Can't let bad things happen. Right now, Du Sen and Dak Ko Tuan are resting at the first-floor restaurant. Shin Sua has also arrived here with teammates. I still had to pretend that I didn't care, but seeing him living better now, I am also very happy for him. At that time, a teasing voice caught my attention. Unexpectedly, it was him. In this life, you can also see the former emperor. The current emperor is beside the divine book and requests palm reading. The divine book doesn't want much contact with him, so politely declines. However, the emperor insists on getting his palm read. When approaching me, my appearance makes the divine book timely retract their hand. The divine book looks at me with surprise. The emperor feels disrupted and immediately changes his expression. To avoid being exposed, he quickly switches to a cheerful face. He laughs and says, "If I want my palm read, it's okay." I decline and say I came to talk to the divine book. "If it's convenient, let's talk outside, it's crowded and eyes are everywhere." He doesn't hesitate to agree to my request. When I inform the divine fairy Nam Thien Nam can know about others' destinies through palm reading or touching others' hands. So, I advise him to keep a distance, especially not to reveal his palm. As the conversation ends, I am thinking about the opportunity to deal with Nam Thien Nam. He then comes to me and even requests me to join him in the second door of the challenge. Because he brought himself into the door, I truly thank him. The second door of the Destiny Protection Bureau. The condition for success is to find the safe crystal ice band and bring it back to the large room. When the door opens and steps in, the sudden heat hits the face. Sweat dripped down his back in an instant upon stepping into the mysterious land. Tien Cao Nam sat down on the ground like a muddy ball. A creature resembling a green-fired toad rushed towards him, although their attack power was weaker than the Red 3 products. But they preferred to act in groups. They sensed humidity to find food. Therefore, for them, we were just another delicious meal. After killing the monsters for a while, the magical power of Tien Cao Nam gradually became overwhelmed. He could only struggle with his sword against the monsters, but when I intervened to help him, Tien Cao Nam, with a twisted mindset, saw me as an extremely arrogant person. He appeared to be in harmony with me on the surface, but secretly, he thought about attacking me once his strength recovered. Luckily, I had prepared by tying both hands. If not, that brat would have long thought of testing my loyalty. If he had found out that I was the Red 3 products, perhaps he would have turned deceitful long ago. Then we passed through a path. We saw a bright object among the distant rocks. Tien Cao Nam's heart was thinking about wanting to bring the crystal back alone if he could become the guardian of the second door with great rewards, fame, respect from everyone, etc. He could collect it alone. As he picked up the bright object among the rocks with a cruel smile, feeling its softness for this ice. The feeling was strange until he gripped it tightly. Only then did he realize it was the egg of the green fire toad. Meanwhile, the monster protectors of the egg gathered around. Then he was frightened, begging me for help because it was not about pride. But when he finally took the time to look at me, he faced my cold gaze. Word by word, I said to him, "These are all things he has caused himself." After he continuously begged me to gradually leave his sight, and all of this has actually been calculated in my plan for a long time. Along with the distant desperate cries, I also reached the real destination. There is a cave far away. When I entered the cave, I felt cold. Fortunately, the location of the cave has not changed. Within the cave, everywhere is filled with ice crystal water. The sparkling light shines into the cave. The ice crystal water consists of 3 qualities created from cold rock. When holding the ice crystal, it can increase attribute value, so I took the ice crystal back to the large room, passing through the escape door. This game ends, but for me, there is still something more important. I call the system to open the shop. With the system command, the shop opens. The condition to open the shop is to provide a bath. Fortunately, before coming here, I had prepared a bath. Not long after, a small wooden box fell into my hands. The wooden box is a grade 3 product. Inside the wooden box, if expressed with sincere respect, you can receive the desired item according to the level. The wooden box is a very cheap item because it is a gambling item. Then I put the grade 3 ice crystal into the wooden box. I pray sincerely, hoping for a good grade 3 item. After a while, the wooden box began to groan incessantly. Then a grade 3 worm appeared. This type of item is used for healing, but it's not what I wanted. Then, based on the ice crystal on the wall, continuously passing through the curtain and wishing, finally when the ice crystal is low, appeared a special spelled talisman. The Fate Protection Talisman is a special level talisman that protects part of the fate in someone's horoscope, making them unable to read it. A second ago, it was a cute bunny. The next second, it shows its fierce fangs. This is the demon fox. In order not to appear too outstanding when leaving the secret area, I carefully hid a part of the ice crystal in the belly of the green fire frog to be discovered. It really is as I thought. After saving a life on the way back to the hallway, optimistic, I saw a statue of ice with my guidance. He also became a space guardian and another male lead in Zhonghu Dan and passing the second door too quickly. Challenging the chief organizer of the protection agency has led to a preliminary awakening plan that needs more than a month of training before being allowed to enter the third door, because the third door is a genuine mirror. If the power does not meet the standard, they usually go to their deaths. After an internal meeting, they decided to extend the opening of the third door indefinitely. It's been over a month since then, and now everyone is gathered in the center of the hallway. Compared to the chaotic first day, everyone now looks attentively towards the person standing in the center. Then they hear the long-awaited announcement. From now on, they will officially be allowed to enter the third door. The person in the center also explains the reason. The first and second doors are just training grounds created by the protection agency, but starting from the third door, it will no longer be a training ground but a truly dangerous and cruel mirror. Everyone will operate within the same area in the future. When people start to hesitate, and considering that if they kill the monsters, they can collect eyewash. Upon hearing this, when some people begin to hesitate, they continue by stating that if they kill the monsters, they can collect spirit orbs, and with these spirit orbs, they can visit the shop to exchange for the items they desire. At this moment, a new shop appears in front of everyone. As they discuss the contents inside, he speaks more emphatically that when people kill the monsters, the gods will pay attention to their every action. If you hear the voice of the gods, please do not respond immediately. Carefully watch the newly updated instructions. My advice ends here. I hope you all don't die in there. While everyone is still recovering from the shock, he disappears from the spot. Just as I was contemplating the next plan, a pair of silent twins quietly approached me. Turns out it's Yin Chun and Yin Dong. In my previous life, when I faced the most difficulties, it was Shen Shuya, And this twin pair has always been by my side. Although they have the same appearance and birth date, their destinies are completely different. Because Yin Dong in the previous life will die in the third door challenge. Thinking of this, I conducted a destiny survey for Yin Dong in this life. The results, just like the previous life, indicate that he will face danger soon. When they invited me to enter the ghost mirror, I agreed to their request with joy because this is an opportunity for me to change fate for them to return safely to the Grand Hall. The third door, the ice room, requires passing by killing more than 10 different types of monsters. When opening the door, a cold wind invaded. At the same time, receiving a notification from the system that due to the cold, all power indices decreased by 10. As I led them to explore the nearby area quickly, they saw 2 cute rabbits, but as the twin pair approached, those cute rabbits immediately revealed their fierce fangs. This made the innocent twin pair realize once again the horror of the ghost mirror. Then, under the coordination of the 3 of us, we were able to collect many areas. Encouraged by me, each of them improved their equipment. Yin Chun was responsible for shooting. Yin Dong is responsible for the Kung Ten. In his past life, after Yin Chun's younger sister passed away, his once smiling face no longer showed a hint of a smile. He seemed to seek revenge for his sister by hunting down monsters. He relied on his rapidly growing strength. Noticed by one of the 5 martial sects, the Luo sect, but the Luo sect was in opposition to the Tiger Spirit Society led by Yin Shuya. Many members of the Tiger Spirit Society were slain by Yin Chun. If I could change their fate in this life, they would join the Tiger Spirit Society led by Yin Shuya. Or he could seek revenge for those who killed him. When I looked back, I saw Yin Chun attacking a monster, while Yin Dong was nowhere to be found. Seeing my puzzled expression, Yin Chun hurriedly explained that he went to the restroom. But I knew he might be in danger. To be cautious, I began searching for Yin Dong. Suddenly, a distress call echoed from afar. As I approached, I saw Yin Dong waving towards us, with someone sitting beside him. It turned out he was rescuing the person who accidentally fell here. As I jumped down to check if he was injured, I realized the person beside him was actually Tian Chu Nan. He was stiff all over, kneeling down to avoid being recognized, with his face turned away. I looked down and asked if they needed help. Due to his injured pride, he didn't realize he rejected my offer with a bitter tone, as I was his most despised opponent. This kid, in such a situation, still tried to appear strong. Following his rejection, I decided to lead Yin Dong away from there. But Yin Dong kindly added that he was attacked by a powerful monster, causing his leg to be paralyzed by its venom. It turned out he was struck by a weak rabbit's leg. After a sarcastic remark from me, I led the twin brothers away from there. And the celestial boy who felt offended was imagining ways to make me feel ashamed. Suddenly, a voice filled with suspicion echoed in his ears. Do you want to become strong after a period of hunting? The sky gradually darkened once again. Right then, I was also planning to leave the secret with the twin pair, but as soon as I stepped out of the door, I abruptly stopped because I heard a faint, very familiar voice. I hurriedly brought the twin pair back to the large room. Then I quickly ran to the source of the echoing voice because it was the voice of Shin Su-ya. Not long after, I saw the familiar face of Shin Su-ya and some of his allies being surrounded by a pack of white night wolves. Judging the situation, if he were alone, he might be able to escape from the encirclement. But behind him were some injured allies. He was trying to use his skills to fend off the relentless attacks of the white night wolves. When he was about to succumb under the fierce attack of the wolves, the impending arrival of the king used all his attacks, immediately upgrading the level of red fire, and in an instant, I arrived in time. The white night wolf was clearly one of the top predators in this ghostly mirror, but under my hands, it was defeated instantly. Meanwhile, even though Shin Su-ya no longer had magical powers, he also grabbed his sword to join the battle. Not long after, with the cooperation of the two, finally, all the wolves in the pack were annihilated and this hero's rescue, Rusty, who had feelings for me before, increasingly depended on me. But that's not what I want in the next challenging days. I led the twin pair to smoothly complete the mirror's mission, but for me, from previous lives, it was not just about completing the system's mission but also about defeating the 11th queen to receive the hidden reward. But then, the system suddenly notified me. Nearby, we sense the breath of the myriad deities, and we recall from the time when we first acquired the third enchanted mirror. The deities will observe humans, know their awakening power, and transform hunters into those capable of vanquishing monsters. Some are even bestowed with divine manifestation, transitioning from hunters to deities themselves. Upon receiving divine manifestation, one cannot attain immense power. At present, all we sense is the deity's intent to kill. To prevent harm to the twin siblings, I venture alone towards the not too distant breath ahead. The young man of heavenly aspiration, with a fierce and menacing demeanor unlike before, gazes intently at us. Through fate, we discern that his current level is top TA, with a spirit named the Plague Child. Apparently, after being offended previously, he received the deity's manifestation and enhanced his strength. It seems he has come for vengeance. At this moment, energy swirls around him, gathering in his hand, then a powerful ice column shoots towards us. Fortunately, we manage to evade it. His advantage lies in the low temperature. The ice column is not overly strong, and he has a new idea. If hit, one quickly becomes infected and immobilized. Thus, we can only temporarily dodge while depleting his magical energy, awaiting an opportunity. The young man of heavenly aspiration taunts and continuously fires ice columns. As we enhance agility and increase the distance between us, suddenly, we hear the clamor of approaching monsters, as if the heavens shield them. Just as the gap between us and the young man of heavenly aspiration widens, unexpectedly, we hear the bustling noise of monsters running towards us, seemingly sheltered by the sky. Just as the intervening space between us and the young man of heavenly aspiration is closing, upon seeing us about to flee, he angrily fires ice columns at these magical ice particles. And as he continues to shout with these ice particles, a colossal magical ice shard suddenly appears, using its sharp fangs to propel the young man of heavenly aspiration into the sky. In the blink of an eye, he lost his ability to fight as he fell powerless to the ground. The mocking laughter of the other gods echoed in his ears, but despite the mockery, he still intended to ask the gods for help, and at that moment, a cold sword pierced deeply into his body. As I prepared to punish Tian Chu Nan, a familiar voice suddenly rang out from afar. Following the voice, I saw Yu Zhan immediately. I sheathed my sword and looked towards Tian Chu, saying, "Today, it may be lucky for you if you dare to challenge me again. Your life will be in my hands." After that, I also greeted Yan Zhan and left, but as I approached the hurried look in Yan Zhan's eyes, I sensed an odd omen at that moment. Yan Zhan hastily added that they suddenly encountered a group of mages, and afterwards, Yan Dong mysteriously disappeared. If sudden disappearance could be due to being captured by monsters, and now the sky had begun to darken, so we couldn't hesitate any longer, quickly stood up to search for the mysterious shadow pit. While not paying attention, the sun began to set. I followed the memories of my past life to find the way to the location of the incident. On the way, we really didn't encounter any monsters. Like this area was being dominated by some powerful creature. When we were about to turn the corner, suddenly a trembling and thrilling sound rang out. In that moment, Yan Zhan and I hid behind a rock. Following our gaze, we saw a giant shadow carrying darkness with a height over 3 meters, covered in fur, of a creature quite similar to a human. That was indeed a snow human. Ba Fong Ma is also one of the 11 treasures hidden in the 3rd level, and at that moment, the monster was holding Yan Dong, covered in blood. Yan Zhan seemed to immediately realize this, raising his weapon to charge. In that decisive moment, I held him tightly from behind. First of all, I used the fate snatching skill. Luckily, there was no one to snatch temporarily. This means that Yin Dong still has a chance to live. Then I analyzed about Yin Zhan. If facing the monster directly like that, our chances of winning are not many and are a threat to Yin Dong. It is best to wait until Yin Dong is placed down before rescuing. The way that Snowman goes, we have also seen their hideout. Immediately I thought of a tactic that I will ask him when Snowman places Yin Zhan down. I will use signal bullets to attract him, then find a safe place to hide. I will rescue Yin Dong in the nest when he is absent. When implementing the plan, I found Yin Dong on the brink of death. Just as about to leave, unexpectedly encountered another snowman returning after a hunt. Initially, it was the residence of 2 snowmen. My luck was truly terrible at this moment. The snowman realized that there was an intruder on their territory. Their eyes flickered with dense killing intent, reaching out to attack me when I dodged the dangerous attack. The snowmen's continuous anger, I avoided their attack. After a powerful attack, I found a crack on the ice surface, giving me the opportunity to defeat them. I seized the opportunity to place Yin Dong on the brink of death on the ground, then used the attack value to enhance sharpness to level 18. I led them to continue to attack continuously on the cracked surface. When both snowmen fell heavily on the same piece of ice, the endurance of the ground surface reached its limit. Before the 2 monsters could react, the ground suddenly exploded, causing one snowman to fall straight down. I led them to continuously attack the shattered surface, and when both snowmen were on the same piece of ice, the strength of the ground had reached its limit. Before the 2 reactive monsters suddenly exploded, one snowman fell directly. Not long after, I received a notification from the system that one snow creature had been eliminated, but there was still one struggling on the edge of the abyss. And when I lost focus, suddenly both of us fell together. As I regretted this negligence, hundreds of wooden stakes unexpectedly rose from the ground. I grabbed the falling body and looked up. A thread of life seemed to arrive just in time to save my life. With fate and fire by our side, We often appear as heroes saving damsels in distress at the most dangerous moments. Shortly after, I climbed up from the ground through the wooden stakes and saw Yin Dong, who had previously been close to death, being rescued and saved from danger by Yin Chun. At the same time, I heard the system's voice announcing that Yin Chun's fate had disappeared, revealing a change. Shu Kong Lin's fate had been raised from dust level 3 to dust level 2. I truly changed the course of fate by rescuing Yin Dong. He used to be a great fire deity that no one could compare to, but now he had to endure relentless contempt from the male lead. And meanwhile, I felt the blood boiling on my face as I swatted away a long-eared mushroom, blood dripping into the air. Beastly cow-like creatures and serpent-like monsters rushed in from all directions, but they were not intimidating. The world around me became peaceful not because of mysterious power. Cleaning up the low-level monsters was just a blink of an eye. Wiping the blood off the sword, I observed to see if any creatures were still alive when I heard the distant sounds of arguing twins. Yin Chun and Yin Dong were as usual stumbling in this process. I saw a blurry figure behind them. Where was Shu Kong Lin? It was a sound that I would never forget. The moment I heard that voice, my soul seemed frozen. I wanted to run closer to them, but my body wouldn't move. Looking down, the deceased souls have taken hold of my body, but then the demonic creatures have slowly turned into members of the Flying Tiger Gate. The sound of numerous regrets echoes in my ears, and at that moment, I hear the voice of the Abyssal Nun. I should not have brought her to the Flying Tiger Gate as she killed. As the scene shifts to me panting heavily with a pale face without a drop of blood that was just a dream. I will not allow it to repeat itself, or perhaps that incident is closer to reality. I worn my dream since my previous rescue of Yin Dong. They have seen me as a hero, and that has begun to intertwine our fates. And at that moment, a knock on the door resounded. When I opened the door, in front of me was a very familiar face. The twin Roses came to invite me to go to the fourth gate. But my ill fate is approaching. I cannot get involved with them anymore for an important reason. I declined the invitation with the disappointed expression of the two sisters. Another event occurred after they left. I pulled out a slightly larger egg than a chicken egg. If it has a prominent feature, it is its round mouth and sharp tooth. The egg of an unknown level after incubation was determined to be an unknown egg that will hatch into something. This egg changes shape based on the type of food it is fed. This is the reward I received after defeating the mysterious demon. Besides this reward, I also stole the water attribute from the mysterious demon, so in addition to the initial attributes, it also added the water attribute. After some contemplation in the bedroom, I officially began the journey to the fourth gate with the announcement sound of the system. I officially step into the fourth door. The requirement to pass through this door is to defeat monsters to obtain 1,000 spiritual realms. As soon as I enter, I hear the voices of the gods. Their content is quite trivial. It is not difficult to recognize them, though they are gods. Their ranks are relatively low, like minor deities. When I show indifference to their conversation, they become more excited and interested. A chat box even appears. A sword deity invites the gods down to the mortal realm. Seeing this name, resembles the earth god in this level. The characteristic of this type of god is that they can have a strong effect in related fields. If they leave this level, their effect will disappear like a one-time god. When I ignore the god's requests, other gods gradually want to possess me, like hunters. Although I cannot directly cooperate with the godly power, the ultimate authority still lies in the hands of the hunters. I continue to ignore the possession requests of the gods and officially step into the rhythm of monster extermination. Although I need to collect 1,000 spiritual realms, these realms also have different levels. Therefore, if I can defeat higher level monsters, I can complete the mission faster. In my past life, I could only defeat the lowest level monsters, but this time I have enough strength to challenge higher levels. When I arrive at the next monster gathering point, there are traces of a brutal battle. Currently, only the lonely town and the beautiful twin pair can enter level 4. Based on the battle traces at the scene, it seems like the twin pair has been here before. As I ponder, I notice many bloodstains and traps on the ground. Normally, when monsters die in the mirror world, they do not leave bloodstains. Could these bloodstains be from their injuries, and these traps suddenly remind me of? When I arrive at the next monster gathering point, there are traces of a brutal battle. Currently, only the Lonely City and the twin siblings Shin Su Ya are allowed into level 4 in our area. Based on the battle traces, it seems that all three. At this moment, I notice many bloodstains and various traps on the ground. Monsters in the mirror world usually do not leave bloodstains after being killed. Perhaps these are from their injuries. And these traps remind me of a ferocious soul from a past life, shrouded in a sense of misfortune that only 3 independent individuals and a newcomer can enter the 4th layer of the body. The traces of many people may be Kosen, their bloodstains gradually spreading deep. I feel a sense of misfortune. At the same time, I searched for them along the bloodstains. After a while, I saw some people walking through the woods. The first things that caught my attention were 4 or 5 strangers and a familiar person. These strangers surrounded the traces lying on the ground. I picked up my sword and it was in their direction. The camera turned to the headquarters of the Fate Bureau. Anna reported that in the third trial on the ice and snow, the missing paradise monster may have been news of death. While organizing the training records of staff in other regions, he was very surprised by one of them, who was once again suspected of serial murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. Now I have targeted these strangers at someone who relies on Yin Dong, and the person next to him has also taken out a weapon. When I was about to attack Shin Suo, they came and explained that there was a misunderstanding. Thao Ra Yun Dong had fallen into a trap they had designed to kill monsters and was now being cured by them. They also did not expect that besides them, there were employees from other areas here at the same time. I also used magic to examine their skills because among them could exist a serial killer's soul from the previous life. And the person holding the medicine next to Yun Dong is the one who is truly pitiful because of his special ability that can make himself invisible by holding his breath. Then, to prevent, I decided to lead Yun Dong away from these strangers because night has fallen. We can only temporarily find a suburban shelter until we reach a safe place. I light the fire and everyone is busy with their tasks. Among them, the twins are extremely excited as it is their first experience at the shelter. At that moment, I throw a Van Tho incense bead, bought from the store, into the fire. Immediately, a strange fragrance spreads around. I then explain to the 3 curiously that this is Van Tho incense, rumored to ward off monsters. During this process, Yin Dong looks at me with bright eyes and says that I know more than expected. Very powerful. While Yin Zan suddenly interjects, asking if they can become my disciples. Then, in my embarrassed expression, the twins start a debate on who will be the eldest sister. These 2 could really become high-level assassins in the future. In fact, I refuse them as there is no other choice. Although it is necessary to maintain a cleaner relationship with them. During this process, Shin Suo nearby is also very interested, looks at me and says that she also wants to join the neighborhood. I know she's joking, but it reminds me of my extreme cruelty. I do not answer but suddenly stand up from my seat because it is too noisy here to rest, then leave them. I thought it was necessary to keep my distance from them. But reality constantly intertwines destinies. Not long after, I arrived in a wild area and thought of my nameless egg. When I took it out, its cruel message was strongly conveyed as I tried to feed it leaves. Rejected. This nameless egg conveys the message that it wants to eat flesh. I do not know how this nameless egg will hatch into a monster in the future. Shortly after, I find myself alone stepping into the past in warm memories at the Horses and Tigers Gate. Due to the cruelty of the crocodile, in order not to harm them again in this life, I cannot return to Feng Tu Gate. When I think about this, I don't know since when I started feeling lonely. But when I think alone, suddenly I hear the howling of a pack of demons running towards their shelter. When I jumped off the tree, I truly saw a special orb around me that attracted the demons. There were no fruit trees around, clearly someone had set this place up to trap us. Then from their mouths we found out. During my absence, except for meeting Thon Dak Quan once, I didn't see anyone else. Could Thon Dak Quan be the masked killer? I stay cautious and warn my 3 friends, Rustia. In this 4th floor maze, besides the demons, we also have to be careful with the trainers from other areas. When I picked up the orb that attracted the demons from the ground, I felt someone around, but as I advanced towards that breath, it suddenly disappeared. And those demons, when they lost their target scent, stood there and turned around. This helped us escape a disaster. The scene shifts to a dead demon lying flat on the ground. Voodoo with a cold, indifferent look down at the dead demon. Corpses scattered everywhere. At this point, both hands and the knife in hand are covered in blood. Even the ground is almost unrecognizable in its original color. He walks out of the forest with boredom, nearly 1,000 Lin Nok Nhi trees. If he continues to kill a few more useless demons, he will be able to pass the 4th floor checkpoint. But this does not bring joy to him. For him, currently, he has no competitive opponents, no teammates, just killing these worthless demons. There are also voices of the gods from above. Initially, he was intrigued, but no god satisfied him. The feeling of loneliness, like his name, makes him even more desolate. From the beginning, he began to doubt his role. At first, he thought Shu Kanglin would be another male lead, but on the 2nd floor, he lost to Tianchu Man, just like Joji. Thinking about this, he suddenly recalled. The twins you have seen sleeping outdoors before, hearing them talk about Shu Kanglin, are all praises of snow creatures you have never seen when crossing the ice, combined with timely rescue. Is Shu Kanglin really a comeback in order to monopolize hidden prizes? He deliberately introduced Tianchu Man to him to facilitate his own actions. From start to finish, all of this proves that your judgment was correct. After reaching the conclusion, you eagerly ran to Shu Kanglin, and I had no idea that Dugu Jun was frantically searching for me. I held the map of the 4th floor. The current discovery rate is 35. When they saw my actions, they searched for something with all their senses, and I curiously asked what I was looking for. Even the 4th layer guardian once again invited me to input my statement on this map. I can find everything myself, but I still ignore them. In fact, last night I asked these gods who released fruits and attractive monsters, but their answers were unclear because I spent a lot of time exploring and searching for things. I suddenly realized that there was a rich scent of blood around me, not the blood of monsters, but the scent of human blood. Seeing a corpse buried underground, but when I used my fate-stealing skill, there was no one dead around. This person turned out to be an imposter. Without a word, I swung my sword straight into the person underground. My sword was immediately blocked by him. The person underground stood up with dark eyes staring at me. Then, deliberately, in a teasing tone, he said that his power was stronger than expected, all because of my attack. Cracks began to appear in his mask. As the mask fell off, the familiar face and the deep-seated killer in my mind turned out to be the one who used to be kind, treating Yan Dong's illness. It's terrifying to have goodness in front and evil behind. He has now reached level Thunder 3, even supported by a deity. With the supernatural ability the deity granted, he can steal 10 points of strength from the killer. In just a few short days, the power of this person has increased many times. How many people has he killed? At this moment, Tun's boyfriend doesn't seem to be fighting, but playing a fun game. Then he whispered that it's very boring in jail, here you can hunt demons. Initially, just wanted to live happily, but the gods made me a killer. Even gave me a skill. When it got to this point, his figure gradually disappeared, even using stealth techniques. I tensed all the senses on my body, observing reactions around me. The sound of grass being trampled behind quickly made me turn my head. Blocking the attack from behind without knowing he had hidden behind me. The power when the illusion is executed is very strong. This blow made my hand tremble a bit. In the current situation, I can only barely resist. There's no one else around, so I fight instinctively without hesitation. This skill is what defeated Snowman of level Demon 3rd grade before. If the opponent is stronger, the user's ability value will increase based on the distance. The greater the distance, the higher the increase. When the skill is activated, the self-esteem of the high-ranking boyfriend starts to rise. At this point, in the eyes of others, I may appear more like a ruthless killer because of the consequences of using this skill. When the desire for power is stronger, the user temporarily loses reason. As I was about to use supernatural powers to kill my boyfriend, a sudden voice from behind echoed, "I will help you." In this crucial decision-making moment, I am frantically searching for the one who caused this unexpected event. Upon arriving at the scene, I lost control. Simultaneously, witnessing the strong energy fluctuations around Bai Tu Quan, my desire for power immediately targeted him. Seeing me acting crazily, he became even more excited, even welcoming my actions as a surprise. When I collided forcefully with Bai Tu Quan in a punch, I understood how powerful he was. With just one strike, he defeated me, the user of supernatural abilities. Fortunately, a punch from him woke me up. As I stood up, recovering, Bai Tu Quan's words made me uncomfortable as he began to harass me. The scene changed, with Bai Tu Quan currently trying to catch his breath, using hidden power to flee. He never expected that Tu Kang Lam was so powerful, even having a stronger teammate. This made him more frightened. While fleeing, he never expected Tu Kang Lam to be so powerful, even having a stronger companion. This made him more terrified, despite the training time at the Bureau of Destiny Protection. There is no special punishment for death or injury, but with the act of killing innocent people, the protection agency will certainly not tolerate it. Two strong witnesses are present, but they cannot be left alone. When he is facing a difficult situation, the sound of seeking him is coming from nearby. These are his own teammates from the fourfold. Hearing this sound, he suddenly stands up because he thinks of a malicious intention. At this moment, his lover Jun appears with a mischievous smile. Among these teammates, there is someone stronger than he thinks, believing that the elimination process may cause trouble. Unexpectedly, the opponent shoots. The end of the massacre quickly. At this time, a system announcement appears to steal 10 points of power from the dreaded killer. The dreaded fear of the living and the king appear satisfied with Jun's behavior. The dreaded fear of the living and the king give Jun a dagger necklace. After wearing the necklace around his neck, he feels his whole body trembling. This necklace has truly increased his power by 10 after stealing power from killing and now enhanced by the necklace. At this point, Jun starts to get excited because he is confident he can defeat Seo Gangrim. If given the opportunity to act alone, he can eliminate each person. Before the witnesses return to the main hall, Jun prepares to search when suddenly something falls on his head. Looking up, the heavy rain has begun, and the system displays the enhancement due to the surrounding water, leading to the reduction of 10 points of power for the male microorganism, but the dreaded fear of the living and the king encourages him. Seo Gangrim has a living nature, so he will also be reduced. This makes him feel very comforted while also full of expectations for the impending massacre. When Jun finds me, I am destroying without distinguishing the surrounding trees. Although Jun does not understand my actions, with my back turned to him, I have created a good opportunity for him. Jun can activate the invisibility spell and at the right moment, jump aggressively to attack me. Little did he know that I had foreseen his attack. With a strike in midair facing his unexpected assault, Namhu Tuan couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. His stealth skills were nullified. However, Namhu Tuan still smirked confidently. Having just defeated a team and gained strength from the sword chain, at this moment, Namhu Tuan clearly felt I was much weaker than before. Just as he was feeling self-satisfied, he unexpectedly saw a mysterious smile on my face. Then, in his anxiety, my water attribute attack suddenly increased. At the same time, he also heard that Seo Gangrim's attribute had changed to water. The power reduction was restored as the water energy around increased due to the water attribute protection layer. Seo Gangrim's power increased by an additional 10 water attributes. Namhu Tuan's power decreased by 20. The sudden fluctuations left Namhu Tuan confused. He then blamed the deity for being possessed. Isn't Seo Gangrim also a living attribute? But I didn't give him a moment to breathe. Continuing the attack to create pressure, at this point, the dreadful deity told Namhu Tuan that Seo Gangrim had added more water attributes that he couldn't match. Don't let him lose courage, it's still true. The power from the two blades filled Namhu Tuan with confidence. Then, Namhu Tuan regained his faith, using the power of magic, a strike that sent me flying, crashing into a large tree behind. He also saw my sword shatter. As he plunged into my heart, he proudly stated that he wouldn't let me be alone. He would soon bring Shin Su Aw and them to see me. But before he could finish his sentence, a strange black staff pierced his chest. Namhu Tuan couldn't believe it, holding the wound. Feeling tangled and wanting to retreat, but now I slowly draw the stick on his body. Word by word he said to him, "You can say goodbye to this world now." At this moment, Duong Phuk still wants to seek help from the gods. Fearful, but the deity has severed all contact with him. Then, in his eyes of despair, ending his sinful life, seeing his body, I whispered to myself, he just has the ability to steal the soul of the dead. Then the fate that I applied to him this time, the reward from the ghost mirror, exceeded my prediction. The first thing that can kill Duong Phuk with just one sword is the Thunderstrike Divine Sword, a level 3 dragon-slaying weapon that I have always sought. Made from the soul tree branch after being struck by lightning, its power increased. To obtain it, I searched all over Ghost Mirror, even cutting down all the trees and installing a paradigm on the branch. I also obtained Duong Quan's hidden skill guitar device, even upgraded the fate level. At this moment, the familiar voice from that forest is transmitted. At this moment, I am killing the daring horsefly of a tree that I bought from a regular store, wet with the creature's liquid. I see Duong Phuk not paying attention to him. Instead he has gotten used to being abandoned and continues to talk to me, asking why I don't find an assassin. Why I kill monsters for the reason of the task that I also have to complete. Passing through the past, but now Duong Khotun suddenly exposes his eyes like a meticulous observation machine, staring at my neck, saying coldly, "Did you kill Duong Quan?" This neck is also his reward, isn't it truly a skilled guy? I searched for a reason, saying that it was a gift from the deity that I signed. But I couldn't dispel his doubts, even saying, "So if you say that, then I'll let you deceive me once. But if you really did kill your boyfriend, you must tell me the truth because I have always supported you. The student who joined the Bureau of Destiny has been here for 2 months. Some people have left this place for various reasons, and now." The voice of Yin Chun echoed in the quiet apartment. "Anhok Lam, can you accept us as your disciples, master? We will perform well. We are willing to do everything." In the corner of the room, I sat with the two sisters Yin Chun. Everyone passing by was attracted by the voice of this girl. It turns out that the two sisters have not given up their intention to become my disciples. Unfortunately, a disaster will strike my loved ones. That's why I always refuse their requests. At this moment, the girl continued to speak. They have received the soul request from the god. Hearing this, I was curious to use the Bureau of Destiny to test their new supernatural abilities. Yin Dong won the favor of the Moon Hunter god, while Yin Chun won the favor of the Sun Bow god. In fact, they are Apollo and Artemis, the gods that suit them. When they mentioned this issue again, I replied without any emotion that if they want to become disciples, they should find their own god. Hearing this, Yin Chun's face clearly showed disappointment. Then she came up with an idea and hurriedly asked me which god had descended. Facing this question, I always remained indifferent, but just for a moment, I revealed a look of insight and disdain. Shan Bei standing beside witnessed this. While discussing a difficult topic, from the other side of the hall, the sound of the door being pushed forcefully came. It was the sound of the first door being opened, and a person who seemed extraordinary was rolling at the entrance of the large door. This person was wearing a special priestly outfit. When we stood up to help him sit down, he looked a bit like a foreigner, hearing his regretful voice. Now, facing the monster, he still felt scared. The awakened one couldn't destroy the monster. In fact, he failed. As one of the two terrible coaches in the company, when the pastor felt frustrated, I sarcastically asked him if he needed my help to complete the ghost mirror mission, and when the pastor looked at me in horror. After realizing, he was overjoyed, and the two sisters behind also offered to help when I asked them to go hunting. If they obeyed well, I would consider doing the master's job. Then the priest looked at me with a horrified face. And as soon as the sentence ended, these two sisters left this place. Of course, my help to this priest also had its reason, because he is the one who takes care of everything, named John Richter, a high-ranking spirit protector of the doctor and traveler, who can treat wounds. The higher the level, the less magic used, the slower the recovery rate. This is truly a rare talent. Meanwhile, in the company's rest area, the team leader and the second team planner were chatting. The team leader's face at this time looked gentler than ever, because in level 3, Sun Haya passed the first game, surpassing all other teams, even making the team leader's face shine more in the midst of cheerful conversation. A woman suddenly entered the rest area. When they saw this woman, the team leader frowned, because this woman is the biggest. Who can defeat the 5th goalkeeper with the highest difficulty to fulfill the winner's wish? And then the girl confidently leaves the lounge. The scene shifted to two characters. Father John and I spent 2 days completing all the levels together, and then received all the rewards. The priest couldn't believe it and thanked me. I praised him and said that without his treatment, he couldn't have completed the task so quickly. I encouraged him as a very reliable teammate. As we, along with the priest, confidently stepped into the 5th level, the sound of the sea waves joyfully echoed. The sea under the sun mesmerized the heart. At this moment, the system also announced the welcome to the hunting room. The first reward from the ghost mirror can change according to the difficulty. Second, you cannot use the store in this ghost mirror. Third, you must not leave this place before passing through. Especially the third thing that made me go through many difficulties in the past. This is also the reason why I had to lead this priest. This time we entered the ghost mirror. Although there is no time limit, there is also no suggested end goal. In the past, I faced many difficulties because I didn't know the conditions for winning here. Finally, after many efforts, the task was completed. At this point, the priest next to me, after reading the content through the system window, said that this ghost mirror is called fabrication intent, truly intending to fabricate false tongues. That's right, that's its meaning, a connection completely incompatible with the island landscape. A scenery completely incompatible with the island, as the priest discussed. This ghost mirror has different constraints compared to other ghost mirrors, adding 3 more conditions. First, the mission in this ghost mirror will be supplemented according to the difficulty of winning. Before completing the second task, you cannot leave this ghost mirror. In the previous ghost mirror level, you could return to the corridor to recover, but this time you cannot do so. No one knows how long you will stay in this ghost mirror, but we are prepared. Not long after, I chose a place far away from the monster for recording. After taking out the items from my bag, I quickly set up a tent. Although the price was a bit expensive and the size was a bit large, there was no problem due to the system's reward bag. After determining the next place to live, the issue of food must be resolved. Unable to return to the hallway, unable to use the shop, and not knowing how long to stay here, so solving the food problem as soon as possible is the most important point in this adventure. Then I left the priest at the camp and went into the forest alone. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, I quickly approached another area of the ghost mirror. A beast resembling a hunting dog is staring ahead. This place seems to be deliberately built. Although there is a bad feeling, their hunger is stronger than fear, so after the man in the middle urged, everyone rushed towards the monster ahead. The last commander was a familiar face, Tru Tu Nguyen, who was rejected by Shenhua under my persuasion before the mirror opened. It turned out that after entering the magic mirror, he spent a lot of money hiring some followers. When these servants pulled out their weapons, they quickly killed the monster in front of them. Although relying on sharp teeth and the aggressiveness of this monster seems strong, their movements in the water-filled orchard were not agile. These monsters are as skinny as bamboo sticks, which makes Kuoi Thuong Nguyen feel even more uneasy. At the same time, the voice of the creator deity echoes in his ears. This is because if these monsters eat fruit without following the rules, they will have their tongues cut out by their masters. Before he could finish his sentence, suddenly, in the distance, the curious cries of a group of monsters are heard. They seem to be mutated monkeys, each exuding a vicious aura. Seeing the leader of the protectors of these monsters, Kuoi Thuong Nguyen runs faster than ever. As he screams desperately for help, a monster suddenly attacks his face. The monster opens its mouth wide, wanting to cut his tongue out. Just as the situation seems dire, a hand from somewhere stabs into the monster behind him, knocking it out cold. Kuoi Thuong Nguyen, still terrified, sees a grinning face. "You're really lucky, and that person is Hung Kang Lam, who has ruined his chance of happiness. Embarrassed at the cafe before, now I saved him. He hesitantly thanks me. Even though he saved his life, he does not forgive the previous insult. I don't want to care more about ungrateful people like you," I coldly respond. "Even if you beg me in the future, I won't help you anymore." I then ignore his existence, directly attacking the other monsters. Although they live in groups, with my significantly increased strength, they are not much of a threat. After a fierce battle, the fight ends quickly. At this point, there is no longer the group of people that were there before. I then take out an unnamed egg, feeling its desire for the bodies of the monsters underground, but I force it to eat fruit. Because these monsters are my food. At dusk, I and the priest are sitting in front of the camp. The barbecue party started. As the meat on the grill burst into flames and the oil sizzled, I suddenly said to the priest, "Do you remember when I asked for your help?" He looked puzzled as I took a big bite of grilled meat, then I explained further. "The monsters in the haunted mirror are all poisonous. So what I asked the priest for help with is to start treating me now. If the magic here is not enough, there is a potion to restore it." Then I continued to brawl and eat meat, with the priest beside me. Busy with continuous treatment, when I stopped, thinking my crazy actions were over, I suddenly saw my hand reaching for the raw meat on the ground. After a series of treatments, I heard the system announce the achievement of a new level for resistance capabilities. Level 3, Red, can resist all kinds of toxins, which is why I went crazy like that. Fortunately, I had previously given the priest a magic-enhancing food. If not treated in time, I could faint due to lack of magic. Remembering this and wanting to thank the priest, he suddenly fainted. It was already dark, so I took the priest into the tent for him to rest. When I suddenly felt a strong danger, I stood up from my seat. Awakening Priest John, I warned him of an attack outside, telling him not to go out if there was danger and to call me if help was needed. Stepping out of the tent, I saw 4 unfamiliar faces. Initially, I thought they would tear down the tent to get in. Perhaps they were hungry for this tent. They stood outside waiting for me. At that moment, they looked like wild beasts, their eyes fierce and staring at me. One of them said that if I obediently gave them food, they would let us go. They claimed they were not killers, just thieves. Through the window of fate, I confirmed they were at the lowest level, grade 3 individuals. But upon hearing their words, I couldn't help but burst into mocking laughter. Even though they said they were not murderers, stealing food is akin to killing. As I prepared to fight with my weapon, they did not wait and immediately attacked me. After facing the ghostly challenge, my agility increased to level 20. Before they could make a move, my large hand quietly grabbed the head of the person in front, then I kneed him, followed by striking his head with the hilt of my sword. Under the continuous assaults, this person lost the ability to fight. But with their level and combat abilities in the ghostly realm, they could easily find food. Are they just holding people in another area? As I prepared to summon fire magic to defeat the enemy in front of me, this person suddenly shouted loudly. My power far exceeds the information they have. I must quickly return to report to the captain. As the words ended, a loud explosion rang out in the battle, surrounded by thick smoke. Footsteps echoed in my ears. Although I considered chasing after one of them, I decided to observe the situation as the possibility of an attack from the right was high. And in my absence, I couldn't rule out the chance of them returning to the camp. After confirming no survivors around, I opened the camp. At that moment, Father John was trembling, tears streaming down his face. Perhaps this was the first time he had encountered such intense scenes. I comforted him that they just wanted to compete for food in a secret area and often had conflicts with people from other regions before, so he needed to be careful of strangers. However, the pastor who was trapped in inferiority felt that he was my burden. Saying that I am a person without combat ability has brought me a lot of trouble. This is actually a set of dialogues, and one cannot say anything else. Just like I told him earlier, he just cannot see the value of a pastor now. Because now back in the hallway, there is a free scenic room where even the Protection Bureau provides pills, but after completing all the education, it is now the true spring of the pastor, and those who drove the pastor out of the group will regret knowing the price of the pills in the store. Therefore, I will take on the part of the pastor's battle, only needing medical care. Finally, I turn around and view the pastor with the best eyes. Although the pastor's mentality does not believe in his fate, I believe he will become a pastor. But I am sure that the priest will become a miracle doctor to save the world. These paintings gave him infinite confidence. He knelt directly in front of me, and the screen switched to the twin sisters in combat clothes. He walked into the tent happily. Seeing their disappointment, it seems that Tai Shen did not get what they wanted. It turns out that they have been in the magic mirror for some time, but the problem is that they have not found the project needed to defeat the magic mirror yet, so they can only temporarily cooperate with others. Although they formed a group to search for the ghost mirror, it was clear that Yindo Ing was not satisfied with it because the level of others was too poor to provide assistance. Yandong couldn't help but think of me. If he could learn a lot with his brother Shu Kanglin, he would soon learn how to overcome the ghost's mirror. Just then, a familiar face appeared in the camp. But the people who came were not what Shen Shui and her team expected. When this unexpected guest visited alone, he liked to be alone. At first, he knew how the priest and I entered the magic mirror through communication with the gods. He wanted to know if Shu Kanglin was here. Just look at his face, like a pair of twins, longing for Shu Kanglin. But Wei Wujin guessed his true personality. Shen Shui looked at him coldly. Then Wei Wujin took out something from his pocket and gently threw it to Shen Shui. After Shen Shui caught it in the air, she did not show any surprise. It was a fruit picked from the garden. When Shen Shui picked up the fruit, a notice window appeared in front of her. After receiving the white fragrant fruit, she completed the task of obtaining agave with low difficulty. Although the task window appeared, Shen Shui remained calm and looked at Wei Wujin, saying that if it were Bai Shang, they would have completed this low-level task long ago. It's worth being my supporting role, so I will go with you. Hearing this, the twins immediately showed their anger, because the arrogance of Uyghur Jun made them ashamed of their reaction to the twins. After observing the twins for a period of time, Uyghur Jun did not lose his self-esteem or shock. He said, "It seems like you are that kind of arrogant person, so you can only convince you with your own strength." I said to Ji Yudu, "Please leave before I use my power to control you." But Ji Yudu doesn't care who he fights with, because in his eyes, these people are just supporting role. Among these people, the strongest Shin Suya excited him the most. When Yin Dong was confused about how to stop the game, the tent door suddenly opened. An external member hurriedly shouted that someone was preparing delicious food near the campsite. On this island, the monster's body is filled with toxins, so the explorers trapped in this battle can only satisfy their hunger through hunting, so they haven't had fresh food for a long time. The angry atmosphere suddenly disappeared when the person attempting to attack heard someone cooking around them. My eyes also became gentle. I prepared a fragrant dish over the fire not far from my hiding place in Yantai. Today is the 10th day of the coach's participation in the battle, so it's time to provide food from outside. In this battle, they had almost no time to provide food and could only eat fruits, grass, and poisonous monsters from the garden, so the value of food increased. When I think of a bowl of soup, they should be willing to accept it. How long until I can take a shower? I heard the voices of Ji Yudu and Shen Suya from a distance, but I didn't care if they greeted each other. He quickly told me that monsters in battle cannot be eaten. They all have toxins, which is very valuable. Then I explained that I had cleared the toxins from the meat and gave him a bowl of soup. Alone in District Jia, I was served a pot of soup and told to savor it carefully. I am not the Buddha's heart. I decided to demand Jia to pay 1001 prices for this. Although seeming reluctant to let him eat, Jia did not show anger. Opening the transaction door, at the same time, Shin Su-ya also showed a hint of desire. And I directly told him that only 200 spirit orbs seemed unfair with the sudden price drop. But upon hearing that it was the price decided by his eccentric master, he said that Shin Su-ya is the female lead so can understand. But except for Shin Su-ya, to others, I sell a bowl of soup for over 2,000 spirit orbs without knowing. Around the quiet tent, many people began to focus and enjoy the delicious food. After the satisfying meal, I knew that the current enemies did not know how to take on high-level tasks. The loneliness of acting alone has been strictly dealt with in District 1. Even the coach of District 1 targeted me strongly. This time seems like a repeat of a past life. It is said that the competition at that time was also very fierce. Then they together threw a coconut at me, but I still firmly refused to go with them. Regretful of my determination, Jia felt regretful, but Shin Su-ya worried. Facing everyone in District 1 alone will be very difficult, and they will try to stop us. So every time I meet opponents, all battles are intense. Regarding his advice, I looked at the priest and reminded him to request careful protection of the priest. If following me, the ghostly reflections will become more dangerous. The reason I am determined is because I want to go to District 1 alone. After understanding the reason for the competition under the anxious gaze of Shin Seo-ya, I left the tent. Although it didn't matter if I fought on my own, if I left a separate mentor and arranged around the monster, it could have serious consequences. I walked deep into the garden, and it wasn't until I arrived here that I began to see green fruits. In my past memories, there were usually powerful monsters protecting me around these fruits, and when I tried to use my supernatural perception abilities, a huge monster appeared. This is a huge star-shaped monster. It's hard to imagine it suddenly popping out of an egg. I can't think of much. I quickly held my breath and activated my hidden skill. In the surprise of the monster, I quietly walked behind it. Then I raised my sword without hesitation. While my sword was still in the sky, the monster's head fell to the ground like a fruit. As if nothing had happened, I picked up the fruit and began to eat it here, called Heavenly Fragrance. I can complete tasks at a moderate level. In addition, this fruit has another attribute. It can improve my anti-drug ability. Soon after, I also heard the system sound announcing that my anti-drug ability had been upgraded to Con Deck. At that time, a group of unfamiliar faces appeared under the tree, but judging from their behavior, it was like they came to see me. They directly asked me if I was Shu Kangling and said that their boss had something to solve for me. Although there was a bit of a threat in my words, my initial intention was to first understand the situation in the area. I didn't have many ideas to directly agree and accompany them to their camp. What's even more surprising is that the number of people here is even twice that of our region. It's no surprise that the reward of the first person in the world of Manhwa was taken by those in the first land. Although they saw a stranger's face, no one dared to approach me. When I opened the tent and stepped inside, in front of me was a man holding a sword. This man, Hong Dai-hoi, wore a shoulder-bearing shirt and had strong muscles. He proclaimed himself as Hong Dai-hoi, his rank being the artifact celestial. The relationship with this person was truly good. Only at the 5th gate he obtained the sword Fong Tien Hua Tik, which could be used as a weapon for various purposes like stabbing and slashing. With a powerful attack, as I was observing him, he suddenly attacked without any signs, pointing at my forehead, requesting my support. If I agreed, they would use the average level Passover task as a reward. They thought this condition could bribe me. It turns out they had not found a more difficult way to pass levels. But I didn't want them to take over the initial lead. I ignored them, and when I was about to leave the tent, Hong Dai-hoi arrogantly said, "This is not where I want to be and leave at any time. If I don't cooperate honestly, they even threatened to kill me." Meanwhile, several armed people blocked my way. I persistently took out card from my pocket. Initially, Hong Dai-hoi was puzzled, but after realizing it was a warning card, his face became stern. The revenge item. If the holder of this item is killed by someone else, it will mark the killer with the revenge seal. The killer will become the target to be eliminated by the group leader's fate protectors. And this item is a gift from the leader before entering the secret area to ensure students have the best overall assessment score, carrying survival benefits. The accompanying thing is to seize the first position with the highest difficulty level in this secret area, and if successful in achieving the first position, you will also receive an additional bonus reward. But Hong Dai-yuan seems to know what it is. He was full of determination just a moment ago, but now he holds a weapon, hesitating and indecisive. Because the heavenly fire sword in his hand is also a divine weapon given by the group leader to protect the airspace early. Now Hong Dai-yuan can't help but wonder if he received the mission from the leader early. I just understood the person in the first area. Why are they stopping us so crazily? The reason is because there is a betting agreement between the group leaders. When I think about this, Hong Dai-yuan shouted at the people surrounding me, not to kill Shu Kong Lam who is in front of him because he is holding a mysterious symbol. Even if there is a mistake, if that person kills me, he will also die. Then, with a mocking tone, Hong Dai-yuan continued to say that although he couldn't kill me, he could make me disabled. When the sentence ended, those people rushed in without hesitation. But if I am easily caught, I will not come here alone. First, I used flexible movements to dodge the attacks of Xiao Lala and defeated 2 enemies. Then I directly used the invisibility skill 7 to make them distracted, and I disappeared on the spot. That is the hidden ability that I stole after defeating the male companions, and I have no intention of letting them escape so easily. Then I continued to use the hidden skill alternately among the crowd and defeat each weaker opponent in battle. When they regroup under the command of Hong Dai Yuan and recapture the base, if using hidden skills in a narrow space, it is likely to collide with these people. Therefore, I quietly left the combat area while they were still searching for my traces and immediately used another fire skill of mine, burning each tent in the first area of their camp surrounded by raging flames. In the process, I threw a peach blossom into the burning place. With the scent of peach blossom spreading, the demons around began to gather there. Through this adventure, I finally understood why there was such a fierce battle in the previous life. The main reason is because the Fate Protection Agency is even related to the deaths. And this is just a bet between some leaders. I will not allow the same thing to happen again. So after returning to our camp area, I took out a fruit to carry out the average task and distributed it to them fairly. Then I analyzed with them that the number of people in the combat area this time is twice as much as here. If you don't want to die in the battle here, complete the average task and leave the reflection world before. Most people hesitated to pick up the fruits on the ground to confirm that they had received the task completion notice from the system. These people looked at me with gratitude. However, there are also some people who choose not to leave. Among them, Shen Shuya ran over anxiously and asked me worriedly to stay alone. He refused to leave, which really worried me. I could only respond with a cold expression and criticism. Whatever he does has nothing to do with me. If you want to receive the task, quickly leave here. Then when he felt disappointed, I turned and left the camp. With bitterness in my heart, I couldn't hurt him again in this life. So this time, I will no longer be his teammate. I hope he can lead these people safely out of the reflection world. Shortly after, I went to meet the leader who had killed the demon before. At that time, when facing the demon protecting him, there were no signs at all. Suddenly appearing around me, these monsters usually don't appear somewhere from scratch because they are creatures living in a magic mirror, like snow monsters, and they need a place to hide. But where will these guys ultimately appear? When I traced them with my final magic, I discovered their hiding place. As I approached the trees, I was strongly drawn to another space. The space in the heart of the trees was much larger than expected. In front of me was a long dark alley, and then I slowly leaned against the wall and walked into the alley. Soon after, a strong wind and the aroma of thick fruits appeared in front of me, and the scenery in front of me was like a paradise, with sunlight shining from the open sky. There are flowers flying in the wind everywhere, and at the center of the colorful flowers is a huge fruit tree. But I also know that besides its beauty, this place also has the highest level mission item for this ghost mirror. When I walked carefully to the tree and gently jumped up to pick fruit, I heard the voice of the system announcing that I had received the Wanqiang fruit task item and completed the advanced task in the TV room. I safely left the magic mirror without being noticed by anyone, but before the fruit was tightly held in my hand from behind, there was suddenly an explosion sound. When I turned around to look at the explosion entrance, many people had already rushed out. The first person to rush over was Hong Daxon from the 1st district. Now, he seems to be waiting for prey, then pointing to the person sitting on his shoulder and saying that while searching for me, he found Yindo Ing, one of the twins, following behind. But my partner is just a minor issue. If I obediently hand over the task to them, I will be granted freedom for Ying Chun. Hearing this, I didn't resist much, merely pointing directly at the dream tree behind me, with countless types of dreams that they are free to pluck. When my story concludes, the individuals in the first area are like bandits, each eagerly rushing towards the central tree. In contrast, Hong Da Shuan stands still. Right after my actions, and when I demanded him to hand over Ying Chun to me, he even requested me to put down my weapon. Perhaps the disruption I caused earlier made him slightly wary. I followed suit, lowering my weapon and advancing without caution. I directly embraced the unconscious Ying Chun and poured some unknown substance into his mouth. At this moment, Hong Da Shuan, the one planning to attack me, saw my actions and questioned me vigilantly about what I was feeding him. I didn't hide it, stating it was an antidote. As Hong Da Shuan was about to tell me that he wasn't poisoning Ying Chun, who was eagerly picking fruits from the central tree. They began to fall to the ground, each person experiencing agony. Simultaneously, in everyone's ears, the toxic aroma of the myriad scents of the dream orchid system began to spread. If the scent becomes too strong, it will turn into a toxin, similar to mixing more than 10 perfumes together, not creating a better scent but rather causing one to be blinded. If I hadn't enhanced my toxin resistance before coming here, I would also lose the ability to move like the others. Behind this beautiful paradise lies hell. Even Hong Da Shuan is not exempt now. He couldn't help but vomit a mouthful of blood. But amidst everyone falling, he persisted, even with eyes full of blood, staring directly at me and wielding his weapon to strike directly at me. Please ensure correct grammar, avoid repetition, and maintain a fluid style. Make sure sentences are properly punctuated. Thank you. With every step, Hong Dai-Huan couldn't avoid getting a little bloody. But amidst everyone falling down one by one, he remained steadfast, even with eyes full of determination, grasping his weapon and charging straight towards me. Because he just realized that I gave Yinchuna Wan Shang fruit to eat. Although he was poisoned, his destructive attack power cannot be ignored. Hong Daxin became increasingly powerful and launched increasingly powerful attacks. If I continued like this, I would definitely not be an opponent, but I was not unprepared either. Then when he was surprised, I took out a lot of Wan Shang fruit from his storage bag. This was the behavior in his eyes. This is like suicide, because the quantity of these fruits immediately increases the toxic gas around him. Before Hong Daxin realized that the toxic gas had entered his body, he lost the ability to move. It seems that the venom of Wanxiang fruit has broken the limit. When I saw this, I slowly took out the weapon of the tree god from my chest and ended his life with pleading. Then I began to suck his power and his fate. I am absorbing the power of Hong Daxin and using my sucking technique to stabilize Shu Kanglin's fate level at 3rd grade. I suddenly remembered the location in my pocket, breathing rapidly as I used my last strength to distribute the taste of the 10,000 eggs around me to those who didn't know. When the ratio rises to 100, but also begins to tremble, as the eggshell begins to crack, bright light begins to flow downwards. Through the light, an image of a certain animal can be seen. This is an animal like a deer with colorless, bright fur. I hear the system notification voice saying that it is the legendary unicorn beast. As the newly born unicorn slowly approaches me and gently places its head on my forehead, I hear the system notification voice again, indicating the activation of the purifying ability. The toxin of the 10,000 fragrance fruit begins to dissipate, the previously covered secret technique now enveloped in the pure air. The surroundings once again appear like paradise. Even Yin Chun, who was previously unconscious, begins to awaken due to the evolution of the unicorn. As I checked on Yin Chun's recovery, San Tu-A and the team rushed in panic. It turns out that after receiving the intermediate reward, they chose not to leave the secret due to their inability to trust if I was left alone. Before they found me, they were attacked by a group from Zone 1. Although each of them was injured, luckily there was a healing monk who finally found them thanks to the explosion. Despite wanting to blame San Tu-A, she did not heed my advice, but when seeing her sincere and worried expression, I still did not utter words that would hurt others. At this moment, as if the system had read my mind, the fate of Hu Kang Lam and San Tu-A began to intertwine with Yin Chun and Yin Dong, seeing me as the one who helped them, hence the fate begins to entangle with me. The desire to distance themselves from me initially once again entwined with each other. After overcoming the Hong Dai-Huan part in the instance, he also successfully received the final reward. Along with the system's hint, a destiny bow appeared in Hu Kang Lam's hand, a tool that could predict the future. In urgent situations or when important decisions need to be made, this is a valuable tool to provide advice. But its weakness is that it operates automatically and cannot be used when desired. But before he could grasp the tool tightly, it activated on its own, and the result it gave. The fate of Shu Kang Lam is undergoing a transformation. Meanwhile, the second team leader at the Destiny Management Center is questioning Shu Kang Lam's results as his tactical outcome truly surprises everyone. In the secret world of Dao Sun, within just one day, they have vanquished high-ranking leaders beyond the hidden map. In the secretive realm of Hua Hua, the leakage of military information is quite suspicious. Similarly, in the secretive world of Banghua, they have successfully executed covert mission strategies. Achieving such great accomplishments is truly the capability of the Chung Tam Din family, or it could be the result of Shu Kang Lam's disappearance from the martial arts world. Because if not, it would be very difficult to defeat the owner of Tan Tin Hua, Hong. And the most suspicious thing is that he has personally summoned the legendary spirit beast, Sin Lin Then too. The method of summoning this legendary spirit beast is known only to a few select leaders. The method of summoning the legendary spirit beast is extremely rigorous. It can be said that the probability of naturally summoning it is 0. Therefore, the final decision is to inspect Shu Kang Lam to determine if he truly possesses the ability to read the future. Shortly after, in the Destiny Management Team Leader's office, Shu Kang Lam was invited with the pretext of awarding him. When he activated the hidden mechanism from the original wall, a stack of high-level weapons appeared. These weapons are actually the personal collection of the Destiny Management Team Leader. And to reward Seo Gangrim, he helped the second team achieve their first strike by allowing the opponent to choose a weapon they like. But this action seems to be more beneficial for the second team even if it does not diminish the valuable collection. This may help the second team achieve higher accomplishments, creating the first challenging confrontation between the two. Upon returning to his residence, Seo Gangrim quickly retrieved the cute food he had prepared beforehand. These precious delicacies. If he didn't have the ability to read fate, he wouldn't be able to choose the highest level weapon, and Seo Gangrim also guessed the leader's actions because by guessing his fate, he discovered the location of the Dragon Boat Festival. After reading all the weapons, he quickly realized the leader's intention. I didn't expect him to use this method to test himself. In the Fate Management Bureau, people who can test fate are actually very rare. In the memories of past lives, people with this ability are usually occupied by previous groups and even strongly restricted in their freedom. He now has only two choices to continue hiding his fate test ability, or to obtain the highest level of weapons. After some thought, he immediately made a decision to look back at his needs. However, his behavior shocked Fate's eyes because his fingers were pointing at him. I can't believe you would choose me. This boy is really smart, he realizes that I am the most valuable person here. What a foolish situation, he never expected the seemingly cold leader to be so arrogant. Not long after, in order to avoid further embarrassment, Seo Gangrim quickly explained that he wanted to choose the mechanical key from the leader's hand because he wanted to borrow all of the leader's equipment for the remaining secret challenges. This action will definitely provide more help to the second team, even if it doesn't require spending precious items, which can enhance their achievements and lead to their first attempt at struggle. Returning to his room, Seo Gangrim hurriedly took out the cute pet food he had prepared for a long time. This move will definitely be helpful for the second group, even if they are loyal to the precious collectibles. It can enhance their achievements and give both sides the first chance to test each other. Seo Gangrim quickly took out the precious dishes that had been prepared long ago and returned to their respective residences. Although half of the wealth was spent, the sacrifice was still worth it in order to improve the level of the spirit beast, because after a sumptuous dinner, the spirit beast god directly raised his level, and the spirit beast level had been upgraded to a second level form, even awakening the hydration skill. With his skills, the second-level soul in the water can move freely and even control the water source at will. To test the effectiveness of the original skill, Seo Gangrim immediately asked the unicorn to aim at the wall and use the skill within 1 second. He deeply regretted his recklessness, as the water droplets released by the little unicorn immediately filled the entire wall, and even its power penetrated the wall next to Seo Gangrim. This pervert turned out to be my neighbor. To make up for his recklessness, Kui Shangyuan had no choice but to take out his wallet again, exchange one satisfactory living room for another, and even apologize. He even went to a minibar. He quickly stood up, ready to invite himself, but due to his unfamiliarity with the rhythm here, he forgot that payment could only be made through bathing. Due to his lack of strength, he was trapped in the City of Remains. Seo Gangrim personally unlocked it again, but the initially strict system towards Kui Shangyuan suddenly showed a submissive attitude towards Seo Gangrim Ying's closed action. Seo Gangrim Ying is using a premium VIP account with over 10,000 units, so this cup of wine will be provided to him for free. Kui Shangyuan is a person who takes pride in wealth, but his self-esteem has been greatly damaged, which has exacerbated the insults of the system's chaotic attitude. Unable to bear the humiliation, he immediately threw his glass in front of him. To everyone's surprise, he angrily turned around and left the scene. This is really a strange person. Do you know this person? When you saw this passage, the mentally deranged twins came to see the situation. In the process, they also explained why they came here. When you heard that Seo Gangrim had his own spiritual unicorn, the twins faced the unicorn and were immediately captivated. After some time of embracing, they competed to name this mythical creature. Finally, in agreement, they named it Leah, a unicorn capable of understanding language. Upon hearing their chosen name amidst everyone's surprise, the unicorn even achieved a level and gained insight into a new skill. Derived from this skill, it could alter the direction of metal attacks. In the twins' unintentional action, they reaped such great success. After the time of deception swiftly passed, a week had gone by. Welcome to the secret of the venomous snake. You will undertake the task of protecting the snake for 168 hours. The mission requirement forces everyone to confront fierceness. It's not about killing but protecting the snake. Indeed, each member of the second group will receive a red cloth. Once they have chosen the snake they wish to protect, they will tie the red cloth around its body. The condition to pass the mission is to safeguard the snake for 7 days. Though they can exit the secret area at any time, if the snake within the secret area dies, the mission will fail. Therefore, for more effective protection, they must find a stronger snake. While everyone is searching for a suitable snake in difficult circumstances. While everyone is striving to find a suitable snake, Shu Kong Lin walks alone to a bridge. At this moment, he ponders the answer fate has provided. Shu Kong Lin's fate is beginning to change. What does this mean compared to the past life? The snake's challenging start has been brought forward. Additionally, the task manager has evolved into someone else. These small changes are unlike the previous life. But in the current situation, he still cannot accurately assess. Therefore, after a brief contemplation, he undresses. He leapt straight down into the water under the world bridge, a world under the water greater than he had imagined. Many fish were swimming under the water. For ordinary people, this would be a dreamlike scene, but Tu Kang Lam had no time to be enchanted. The water attribute increased his sensitivity in the water by 20 degrees. The Qilin activated the supplementary water skill. Tu Kang Lam enjoyed the additional water effect. Moving and breathing underwater became easier. At this moment, he felt that underwater actions were lighter than on land. When he took a breath, a cool stream of air filled his lungs. There were some small snakes around. But his purpose couldn't be these nameless soldiers. Immediately, he and the Qilin dived deep into the dark water, swimming to the bottom of the lake. But at that moment, a large, bloody mouth appeared behind him without any warning. Luckily, Fuang Thien helped. Otherwise such a large mouth could easily swallow him. Although the size of this demon beast was smaller than a dragon, it was much larger than a normal snake. And this was the target that Tu Kang Lam was always looking for. Seeing this strange snake creature being trapped by Fuang Thien's fire sword. He was also lucky as it was a perfect time to execute the plan. He took out a piece of red cloth to tie around the snake's tongue. However, his action was not over when this demon snake created a powerful water wave from its throat and pushed Tu Kang Lam along with Fuang Thien's fire sword up a few meters. Luckily, the Qilin was beside him, attracting the attention of the demon snake. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Tu Kang Lam quickly swam behind it. When the Qilin sacrificed itself by tying the red cloth at the tail of the demon snake. A white light directly covered his entire body. The demon snake was trying to break free from the red cloth effect. Although it tried fiercely to push Tu Kang Lam away, once the red cloth effect was triggered, it tightly pulled him in. Not long after, Tu Kang Lam also heard the long-awaited sound. The sound system. You have achieved the target. Although he stared at me with impatience in his eyes, he ultimately obeyed the command of Tu Kang Lam. Not long after that, the peaceful surface of the lake is suddenly disturbed by large waves. A giant monster emerges, accompanied by a person and a creature, rushing out from under the water. My job is simply to protect him for a week, but with his own strength, he doesn't need my protection to be safe. Looking at the monster in front of him, Tu Kang Lam couldn't help but make a rare joke, then asked the serpent monster to hide underwater, and cheerfully left. In the following time, in order not to waste the challenges of this secret area, he continuously defeated ordinary monsters, enhancing his own attributes, but the effectiveness of continuous hunting left him unsatisfied. Just as he was about to take a break, suddenly from nearby came the noisy sound of a group of people. Based on memories from past lives, there couldn't be arguments in this secret area. Thinking of this unfortunate feeling, he immediately led the Qilin to the source of the noise. But upon approaching, he realized it was actually his neighbor, Kui Sheng Yuan, who had fallen into a trap. Engaged in an endless argument with a few hired thugs, the main reason being Kui Sheng Yuan comparing them to himself and constantly berating them as trash, causing their patience to finally snap. At this moment, Tu Kang Lam truly felt ready to shoot. Although he did nothing, he was still seen as a point of comparison. While Kui Sheng Yuan turned to look at himself in the distance and realized he wasn't as he usually was, he didn't complain. Instead of asking for help, he directly sought to save his snake, hoping to save it himself. He seemed to sense that his snake was being attacked by someone else, but due to the loss, he couldn't pinpoint the exact location, and through Shu Kang Lam's perception. And quickly arriving at the scene, he found that others in the area were attacking the snake. In a hurry, Shu Kang Lam was able to stop the deadly attack, but the opponent uttered a strange sentence. What do you think? This is the target I found first. Before the eyes that needed protection at the present time, but were suffocating. Kui Sheng Yuan could not contain his anger, but the opponent's next words surprised Shu Kang Lam, standing still because the conditions for completing their secret journey were. Then it is necessary to eliminate the red snake. The mission of Area 3 is different from the memories of past lives. Do the signs from the past mean that his fate is changing like that in their past life? Both missions were to protect the monster snake. So they had cooperated to prevent other monsters from attacking the snake. Even through that cooperation, they made a valuable friend. But if the goal of the mission changes, will the future change at the same time? Just like his uncomfortable feeling, a tragic sign appears in his mind. The target you need to protect is being attacked, and in the third area, there is only one person with the power to attack the giant snake, and that can only be that person. At this moment, the man is facing the anger of the giant snake alone. In his eyes, this snake is like a dragon, but when he sees the signs on its tail, that is a sign of destroying this snake which can be accomplished. So he took power and once again advanced to the 7th position. At this moment, from a distance, Seo Gangrim just caught a glimpse of a familiar figure in his memory. In the confusion of the opponent, the first confrontation between the two sides began. This person is Trong Tai-huyen, a member of the Phi Ho faction in their past life. He was also his close friend. Unexpectedly meeting this guy here. Unlike Seo Gangrim's excitement, Trong Tai-huyen immediately became cold when he saw someone disturbing his task. Since this is the first intrusion, I will forgive this time, but that guy, I will definitely punish later. Seo Gangrim paid no attention to the opponent's provocation and ordered the giant snake to hide at the bottom of the lake before turning back to see Trong Tai-huyen's anger. At this moment, the opponent was completely different from his impression because subconsciously, their first encounter was in Phi Ho. Back then, this kid also mentioned that during the period of self-challenge, it was really annoying. It's really like what he said, if faced with difficulties, it's not certain that they can truly become close friends. To avoid misunderstandings, Seo Gangrim explained. The giant snake is his protected target, hoping the opponent can find another target. But when his words ended, Trong Tai-huyen confidently said that first he will defeat him, then kill that snake. At that moment, he was truly an extremely ruthless entity, ignoring direct attacks. Unexpectedly, meeting under the guise of enemies brought immense pressure. Seeing Seo Gangrim still joking in this action-packed battle made Trong Tai-huyen even more angry. Seo Gangrim's attributes turned into actions, while Trong Tai-huyen was at a strange level. Although his level and power were higher than Seo Gangrim's, he was overwhelmed by Seo Gangrim because he completely grasped the opponent's attack pattern. Right after Trong Tai-huyen was sure of his failure, he made a threat and sneaked away, watching from a distance. Despite being of a higher level, the opponent was crushed by Seo Gangrim without being able to resist because he completely understood the opponent's attack pattern. Right after that, Jong Tai-heen, who was sure of his failure, left the place openly. But when seeing the distant figure, giving up the opportunity to communicate with Shen Shuya if the situation continues to develop as it is, Seo Gangrim will no longer have the opportunity. Perhaps he will not join the Phi Ho team later. If he joins another opposing faction, their relationship will become tense and they will have to prevent that from happening. Not long after he returned to the central area, he heard Kui Shangyuan's complaints from afar. We should be informed beforehand, it's only right to pass through the doors in other areas, just need to kill the snake. The officials blamed only answered indifferently that they thought. Those under protection were attacked by monsters and humans, no different. After a sad lament, Kui Shangyuan left this place. At this stage, the goal of the protection agency must be to many awakened people further develop, but their arrangements lead to unnecessary confrontations, even risking the loss of important members. The opponent's response left Seo Gangrim silent. We only want to eliminate the weak like you. Some always enjoy luck in their strategies, but this time the number of snake crowns did not cause major conflicts. Therefore, they find it difficult to solve the problem by strange deceitful means. The goal of the Agency of Destiny is actually to. As he returned to the hiding place of the giant snake, a dense intent to kill appeared in front of him. Along with a powerful explosion, a proud figure slowly emerged before him. This kid is hard to find, I must return what you received. With arrogant words, the attack came. In his usual attacking style, the next punch would be a left-handed attack. Thinking that he would play with him properly, Seo Gangrim's opponent unexpectedly used a right kick. This attack pattern is completely different from before. Has he realized that his attack has been read and understood by me, and that changing his attacking habits in a short time is difficult, but this kid has seen results in just half a day. In his past life, he enjoyed facing strong opponents. If it were his former self, he never thought there would be a day like this. Because in the past, he couldn't become the target of the opponent. But now, he is seen as a strong person by the opponent, and a strange feeling arises in his heart. If he fails, the giant snake behind him will certainly be in danger. So I will have to face you seriously. I believe you won't lose your life under my sword. The battle between Seo Gangrim Reborn and Jong Tai-huyen, the Mad Fighter, has begun. The frantic struggle begins as Seo Gangrim activates the fighting instinct in his body. His vision becomes blurred. Although when sober, he restrained himself from harming the opponent, but now, with his brain overwhelmed by superpowers, he doesn't care much about that. Because the person in front of him is stronger than himself. Seo Gangrim used to avoid confrontation, but now he embraces the sword and rushes straight at Zhang Taixuan. Although he used all his skills to block the opponent's sword, his face is full of suspicion. The change is not only in the attacking style, but also in speed and agility, as if a different person. The hesitation and caution have completely disappeared. Initially, he just wanted to prove himself a little stronger, but now, with the feeling that Seo Gangrim brings, he feels he could be killed. If it continues like this, he will indeed be in danger. At that moment, he saw a gap in Seo Gangrim's powerful attack. He seized this opportunity and punched hard at the opponent's rib. The sharp punch immediately broke the opponent's rib. Seo Gangrim's fierce attack has been completely shattered, his brain controlled by the fighting instinct. A little restoration of spirit when using the instinct of struggle, the performer will only preserve the pure fighting instinct. Under this extraordinary scene, Seo Gangrim's aura level increases, even bringing his spirit to a brief clarity. Zhang Taixuan's power cannot be underestimated. Fortunately, the special ability he displayed continued to upgrade. And when Seo Gangrim woke up, his eyes wide open as the journey of battle and the opponent's weaknesses began to appear before him. This is truly a star-upgrading combat upgrade. The attacking method he demonstrated. At this moment, Seo Gangrim's mind forgets everything, focusing only on the opponent in front of him, craving victory. He uses all his strength. In the end, Zhang Taixuan fell by the lake. But as Zhang Taixuan admitted defeat, Seo Gangrim's sword did not retreat, just like how a sword must have blood. And in the moment of life and death, Seo Gangrim's magical power was both activated and released him from the battle. Instinct made Seo Gangrim regain consciousness. Perhaps the special ability, although powerful, is truly dangerous. At this point, the soldier's spirit may make Zhang Taixuan understand and retreat. Therefore, he requests his partner, "Stop disturbing your own snake protector." But Zhang Taixuan, a stubborn person, pointed at him when he turned his back and said, "He will return tomorrow." Truly a persevering person. Not long after returning to the corridor, Seo Gangrim regretted his actions. Fortunately, he released the special ability at the decisive moment. But facing an opponent who does not use special abilities and has no certain protection, winning is uncertain. If there is a next time, the choice will be very difficult. But with Zhang Taixuan's personality, he will surely not give up. And this mission. But one can only choose one in their own suffering, hearing the blame of those previously eliminated. Because they believe this task is completely unfair, those in Zone 3 only need to kill to complete the mission. But they can't choose again to protect the target. Right now, while treating his wounds, Seo Gangrim suddenly came up with a two-pronged plan, then quickly sought out the management staff to implement his intention. When he was sure he could do it, revealing a satisfied smile and to carry out this plan in the upcoming battles, he will not fail. In the next period, Zhang Taixuan will come to fight him on time every day. On the third day, the fourth day, the fifth day. Zhang Taixuan does not know exhaustion, although he always fails, but still persists in pursuing his own beliefs. Sometimes even saying that Seo Gangrim is a despicable character because in the battle, he turned his whole body into flames. But the supernatural ability effect has no other way, cannot escape the bad consequences, can only threaten once again and leave the battlefield in an unusual way. When the opponent leaves, the giant snake at the bottom of the lake will also raise its head to watch the battle, like a battle between two sides. In his eyes, this is very interesting, watching the giant snake with such curiosity. Seo Gangrim can only pull out food from his bag and advised to hide it well at the bottom of the lake because compared to the monsters, these humans are much more dangerous, of course, when Kiran is not present. This food must be kept secret, and at that time, the twin pair Yin Dong will also come here. They will complain that Seo Gangrim is a persevering person. Even though he could have found another target, he still sticks with his brother, even injuring him. To comfort these two girls, it can only be said that she also enjoys fighting with him. This helps her train and pass the time in a useful way. Of course, such a reason is not convincing because only when she becomes the owner of an independent land can she think like that. Dare to say interesting, isn't it? Is it an independent play? Leave his body immediately as he doesn't like trouble. Meanwhile, on the other side, Zhang Taixuan has just failed in battle and is surrounded by others fighting in the same area. Their goal is to seek help from Zhang Taixuan. As long as he agrees to join them, they will confidently defeat the others in the fighting area. Of course, Zhang Taixuan does not easily accept the opponent's request. His top priority now is to defeat Seo Gangrim one-on-one, and this group has prepared for it. Recognizing his concern, they said that if he wants to defeat Seo Gangrim, they have a way to deal with the burning method. Unexpectedly, their conspiracy conversation was secretly monitored by the giant snake. Unbeknownst that today is the last day of the mission. After the first battle, when fighting instinct surpassed level 2, he could maintain a sober spirit. If Zhang Taixuan also comes to challenge today, he plans to use the pre-prepared plan. And at this moment, Zhang Taixuan appeared unexpectedly. If he fails today, your mission cannot be completed. But in response to his warning, the opponent appeared confident. Such an attitude was already predicted by Seo Gangrim. But he cannot let the opponent eliminate him like that, so he suggested raising the stakes for today's match. Unbeknownst, their conspiracy conversation was heard clearly by the giant snake from afar. Not knowing today is the last day of the mission. After the first battle, when fighting instinct surpassed level 2, he could maintain a sober spirit. If Zhang Taixuan also comes to challenge today, he plans to use the pre-prepared plan. In the battle, he kept a clear mind. If Zhang Taixuan also comes to challenge today, he is ready to apply the pre-prepared plan. And at that moment, Zhang Taixuan appeared unexpectedly. If he also loses today, your mission cannot be completed. But in response to his warning, the opponent appeared confident. Such an attitude was already predicted by Seo Gangrim. But he cannot let the opponent eliminate him like that, so he suggested raising the stakes for today's match. If we win, the opponent must accept a condition. When Zhang Taizan wants to know his victory condition, Seo Gangrim immediately unleashes his fighting instincts, as based on the result of the previous match, the opponent has no chance of winning. This may be the final deadline of the mission. Zhang Taizan's attitude is also unusual compared to normal. Seeing Seo Gangrim's fiery posture, he shows no fear at all, even daring to threaten that his special abilities no longer bind him. What surprises Seo Gangrim is Zhang Taizan. He directly overcame his first line of defense. His initial prediction, when analyzed through fate, made him discover that the opponent had the ability to resist fire. Do not be surprised when the opponent's attitude today is so firm. Seeing Seo Gangrim gradually retreating in the fight, Zhang Taizan unexpectedly revives. He believes that Seo Gangrim's advantage is only in fire skills, so his confidence immediately rises. In the final battle, we will win. But his words are not over. A unique sword aura, never experienced before, strikes him right at the foot, leaving a deep wound on his right leg. This kid still hides a final trump card. If you use your final trump card first, then I don't need to be gentle. Seeing Seo Gangrim approaching, he also summons his unique weapon that he is proud of, the unique sword of Zhang Fei with 9 tail and 30 hairs. When this magical sword appears, Seo Gangrim's immediate warning indicates that danger is approaching. Even when the opponent's attack comes, his initial fighting instinct automatically cancels the fighting posture under strong impact. But this is something Seo Gangrim cannot accept. At least today, he must win for a perfect outcome. Therefore, as soon as the posture is cancelled, he once again forces the fighting instinct to react to his fighting spirit, elevating to the level of divine spirit. At this crucial moment, unexpected joy arises when Tu Kang Lam regains his spirit, as if two eyes opening to the orbit of battle, focusing on the opponent's weak spot. This is truly a star of escalating struggle. At this moment, Hua Kang Lam's mind forgets everything and only focuses on the desire to defeat the current opponent. A blazing fire ignites within him as he exerts all his strength. Following the trajectory of the battle, the crystal clear display of power towards the opponent, all are mere transformations occurring in the blink of an eye without reflecting Trong Tai Huyen's tactics. Under Tu Kang Lam's intense gaze, Trong Tai Huyen collapses, unable to rise up. Tu Kang Lam's fighting instinct depletes his magic power to neutralize the situation. Despite the severity of Trong Tai Huyen's injuries, looking at the blood flowing endlessly, he disregards the intention of embracing the opponent to seek help. Just then, someone flies in from behind, a member of Zone 3, already restored to health nearby, most likely anticipated by Tu Kang Lam, who is running out of strength in his normal state. These people are not worth mentioning, but as he attempts to absorb magic power to restore himself, a sudden excruciating pain shoots through his legs, followed by his lower body plunging into a mud puddle, while the opponent uses earth magic to escape. Tu Bak has tried to use the fiery form, but due to insufficient magic power, the attempt fails, leaving him only able to watch as the opponent approaches. Suddenly, a giant python appears before him, bringing the enemy closer. With a swift gulp, even dispersing the attacking formation, the demon beast scattered like scattered leaves. They must have never seen anything like this before, especially since he appeared to save Tu Kang Lam deliberately. Everyone in panic directly shouted that this is the guardian snake of Tu Kang Lam, But their actions threatened Tu Kang Lam as they neglected the clear warning of the duty to protect the snake. When facing such a snake, one must never directly call it a snake. His original uneasy experiment in attacking the snake heard the opponent calling it out directly, causing continuous trembling. However, among these people, the red silk of the snake was torn apart, and the surrounding land suddenly boiled. As the sky ripped open, the monster roared, and the snake's body slowly underwent a transformation. Soon after, the four-dragon phoenix dragon suddenly demon beast appeared before everyone. This is because after 1,000 years of practicing the snake, it was referred to as a snake when it could not successfully transform into a dragon. Driven by rage and resentment, transforming into a demon beast, it can never become a god again, forever haunted by anger and hatred.